Being able to create an engaging virtual presentation is more important than ever. Let's talk about how to do just that in this video. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Here on this channel we talk all about how you can use live streaming and video to grow your business. And recently I gave a presentation to a group of business owners to talk about how they could use live streaming to increase their business. And I want to play you just a section of that where we talk about how to design your presentation for engagement. Let's dive on in.
All right, we're going to start moving here through one of my favorite sections, which is designing for engagement. This is going to be about how you can actually get more engagement with your audience when you're doing live streams. You shouldn't necessarily expect this to happen right away when you're just starting out. Your audience won't be big enough, most likely, and engagement can take a while. That's why I recommend the weekly show, because generally people will ease into things. But you want to think about, how can I build in that engagement to my presentation? We talked about that show flow at the beginning. Well, how can you build it in to your show flow where you are asking very specific questions, where you're asking yes or no questions maybe at the beginning? And how can you make it a practice so that people get used to answering those questions for you? One of the big ways that I recommend doing this is to actually go ahead for your live streams. We do it with lots of clients, but we go ahead and we create a pre-show countdown. This does a few things for me. So here's an example of that pre-show countdown. There's music in the background. You can see there's just a clock. This one's a very simple one that it's just going through and it's just kind of showing that a solid screen. And then this one here, it has me kind of there. You can see me in the background. There's also a possibility where with something like that, you could continue to talk to your audience, but it just might not be the main show yet. The reason I like doing this, it allows you to make sure all the tech is working, but it also can be a spot to build in some of that engagement by having a question of the day that you ask at the beginning of every single show. Could be the same question, could be different questions. It could be as simple as, let me know where you're watching from, or things along those lines. So I really want to encourage you to think about, how can you, whether it's using a pre-show countdown or something else, but how can you go ahead and build in those pauses for engagement in your live stream? Ask your question, you might start out with some pointed questions, some yes or no questions, but then you might ask people more recommendations about what they're doing, or ask them how they're doing in the weekend, things that they can write short answers to, but are easy to get some engagement going. And then when you see people answering those questions, call it out, let them know that you saw that, and really bring that up. For those of you who want to go and use Facebook, Facebook has some amazing tools built in to really help build some engagement, from polls, from questions. I actually have a full series on my YouTube channel that dives into a lot of the features that Facebook Live Producer has. You can find that by going to nickpolkowski.com/YouTube, or just heading over to the YouTube channel, jumping in there. You'll see that series. It's Getting Started with Facebook Live, where I walk you through all of the features. So I recommend checking that out if you want to know some of the things that Facebook already has built in and how you can utilize some of those tools. Biggest pitfall on this one is really trying to get too fancy too quickly. You need to really think about some of the transitions that you're doing. You need to think about how you can implement this. You need to practice with some of these features. Do a stream for you and just one of your friends, or do a stream in a private Facebook group, or with a group of colleagues, or with fellow business owners. But practice some of these features before you really start using them a lot, or start adding in a lot of them to your streams, because they can trip people up sometimes when you're trying to get too fancy with everything.
Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I want to recommend that you check out one of these other videos here on the end screen to learn more about live streaming on Facebook or live streaming on YouTube. And I'll see you in the next one.